Welcome. Welcome back again. I'm Mr. Gone, and this is a Raid Shadow Legends video. And I want to start off by wanting to apologize for not having a video last week, or last weekend. I got it all recorded, and everything seemed like it was all right. And then, as I was going through the editing and putting in the intro and getting everything going, the ending of it was just complete ass, like something went wrong. And so I did something that I didn't want to do, but I tried to do it just to salvage it. And I tried to re-record just the ending. And when I got it all spliced together and I rewatched it and I looked at it, I was just not happy with that. And I didn't have time to just redo like the whole thing and start all over again. So even though knowing that I only have time to do this on the weekend, and that meant that not having a video last weekend, I preferred doing that as opposed to just putting out something that I felt was ass. And not only just like for myself, but just for people that choose to spend the time to like watch my videos. Like I just, even if my videos aren't the best videos out there, I would prefer to at least have them not be ass when I put them out. So I apologize for that, and I decided I would just have to wait until this weekend and try again. So here we are, and thank you for being patient. And anywho, that said, um there's a lot of advice out there in Raid, especially in the beginning, like use your energy, farm gear, build a bunch of champs, stuff like that. And it's not that any of these are wrong. It's just that if you follow them at the wrong times, then that's when they can start to be counterproductive. So that said, let's have a look. So as I said, there's quite a bit of advice given. There's a ton of videos out there on it, and especially for like early game players and things like that. And it is all helpful, but that's the thing that it doesn't get really talked about as much, is that it's not so much like what you do in raid, it's when and why you're doing it. Because going back to the whole phases thing, something that works in one phase that you're in now may be completely useless in another one. And this is where like a lot of players will get stuck, is that they'll look out at like all the different options, that they'll see on the videos and whatnot. And, they'll all look like great ideas. Like this has got to be the way to go, so you pick one and you start doing it, and you're doing your thing now, and you're seeing things moving, and you feel like it's progress, because you're spending the energy, you're doing the runs, or whatever it is, but nothing's actually changing. And and that's where the problems are, like using your energy, like especially early game. They'll say things like use all your energy. Capped, if you let it get capped out, capped energy is wasted energy. And that is correct, and it's also counterproductive at other times in your progress. Like in the beginning, you're going to be running a whole lot of this right here. You're going to get real familiar with these guys here, and you're going to be doing a whole lot of campaign. You're going to start on normal. You're going to start to work your way through hard, brutal, and nightmare. And you're going to, and that's the thing too, is don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not going to use your energy, because especially in the beginning, you're going to be out of energy all the time. And you're going to be trying to make your way through all of the different levels, normal, hard, and all of that. And say you'll get like halfway through here, and you're like in hard, and you get like halfway through and you'll run out of energy, right? Well, then you'll wait a little while, and then you get some more energy, and then later you'll log back in again, and you'll finish that one out, and you'll get like a couple more done, and next thing you know, you're in level 8, stage 5. Now you run out again, and you got to wait, and so and that's on top of doing like your daily stuff that you're logging in and doing, you're also with what you have after that, trying to work on getting through all this. And you're going to be running out of energy quite a bit in the beginning, especially because you're trying to finish things, to accomplish things. There's these goals that you have set out that you need to finish. And uh, so you're going to be using a lot of your energy then. And another thing that you're going to be using a lot of your energy on is these here, like the traditional dungeons, and then Spider's Den, which is going to be the only place that you're going to get any kind of accessories. And in the early game, these are going to be, well, this and Clan Boss are going to pretty much be your only source of like getting any kind of gear, right? Until later on in the game when other things start to open up. So you're going to probably come to dungeon, like Dragon is probably going to be first because it's one of the easier ones. So you're going to, start your way down at the bottom here. You're going to work your way up. And as you go, you notice that the levels of the gear start to go up as you go. You'll start at like the 1 and 2 star gear. You'll start to go up a little bit. Now you're at like 3 to 5 star, 4 to 5 star. When you finally get up to 13, now you're finally able to get 6 star gear. Finally, so now as you get higher in the levels of the dungeons, your gear will start to get better, over time. This takes always a whole lot of RNG in this game, and so it's going to take a while. And but eventually, you'll get up here to like stage 20, and that's when you're only getting the 5 and 6 star gear. And it doesn't get better than that, let me tell you. Even in the hardest stages of the dungeons, there is still a chance at the hardest stage of Dragon for you to get a 5 star rare piece of gear. Not sure that that's okay, but it is what it is. Just saying. But you're trying to work your way up, at least to get to stage 20, to where you're at least only getting the 5 and 6 star gear. And so you're going to be using a lot of energy in that as well. And like I said, in the early stages of the game, you're not going to let your energy cap out. And now later, when you get like Sand Double and Phantom Shogun available, these are places that you're going to want to start farming instead, because you're going to start to get a lot better gear from other places other than the traditional dungeons. And from here, you're going to get like all your oils and your dust and stuff like that to ascend your gear. And then down in Phantom Shogun, you'll be getting, similar items to ascend your accessories, because they just had to have it separate, right? So, but anyways, another thing that they'll start to tell you is you're going to want to farm a lot of gear. Now, that's not necessarily wrong, but it's not always right, because you're going to want to get gear, right? Now, I just did a gear cleanse not long ago. I just cleared out like 350 pieces of gear that I didn't need. And I still have things like this here that I'm probably not going to use. And I'm not really sure why I even have these in here. They're not great, but I'll hang on to certain things, just because, I do have some people in Destroy gear for certain things, certain levels of like Curse City and stuff like that. But the thing is, when you're going for your gear, you're not just going to like willy-nilly just farming for anything. And again, one of the first places that you're going to start is probably in Dragon. And you're not going to want all of this stuff, right? You're going to want to pick things that make sense, stuff that you can realistically see yourself using for somebody, right? In the beginning, speed gear, lifesteal, so that you can keep your people alive. Stalwart isn't even bad either. Lifesteal, since you're not going to have a whole lot of champs yet, you're going to need your damage dealers to stay alive. So you're gonna want to get these here so you can keep them alive. Speed, so you can go fast. But then eventually you're going to work your way over to like Fire Knight, and it's a little bit, especially in the beginning, it's a little bit harder of a dungeon to do. But the kinds of gear in here, like, now they're not all good. Some of this gear is going to be complete ass, right? And you're not going to want everything, and you're going to get a whole lot of of all of this, and you're going to have to kind of weed through it as you go. And like I just mentioned, I did a gear cleanse recently. That's only because I have like so much that I needed to cleanse it out and make room. But like as you're building your gear sets, eventually you're going to start to weed out some of the trash, and the stuff that you'll probably want to keep the most, like regeneration, you're going to probably want to put those on like your healers and your revivers, things like that. If you're having trouble like in certain wave content, you might want to, if you got people with like a lot of AoE, especially like in their A1s, you might want to put them in a stun set, so to try to help yourself get through the waves. You got savage gear that you can use for like your damage dealers and things like that. And eventually you're going to start to get other things opened up as you level up in the game, and you're going to start to get things like Doom Tower, let's see, Curse City, Grim Forest. I can't remember when Siege opens up for people. I think it's 40. 40 or 45. I can't remember now. But point being, like, you'll start to have a lot better gear sets coming from other options. So you're not going to need to really farm any of these. Like, I don't farm any of this anymore. And, like some of the gear in here, like in here, the only gear that's really any good that in my eyes, would be like reflex gear, chance to reduce a random skill cooldown. Retaliation isn't terrible, and then if you're having trouble in like Hydra, if you don't have anybody to put like a hex, you got, the curse sets and then the provoke set. But aside from those, the rest of these are just not anything you want to keep at all. And it really sucks that they're even in here, to be honest. But if there isn't like a mission or something you're doing, you're probably not going to want to farm this. Now, when you are farming, though, you're going to want to have a plan, like have a reason why you're farming this. Like, if there, like, think of the problem that you're having, like I was mentioning here. Think of the problem you're having and what kind of champion you're building, and then come look for the kind of gear that you want. Like I said, like for your healer, maybe you're going to want to like farm a lot of Fire Knight and hopefully try to start to get better and better pieces of regeneration. So eventually you can, now in the beginning, you are going to just kind of like whatever. If you get a set of Fury that, you're not going to use this, right? I don't know anybody that uses this, but if you find a piece, if you come across as you're farming in the early game, and even in the mid game, really, to be honest, you're gonna start to weed it out at this point, though. You're gonna want to do sets over or stats over sets, right? And which means that if you get a crappy set piece, but it has really good stats on it, don't throw that away. Hold on to that, because you're gonna be able to maybe take like 2 pieces of Fury and 1 shield. The shield's not that bad, actually. And then like maybe a couple pieces of immunity gear and then a regens, you're going to piece them all together and have really good stats. You're just not going to have a full complete set to where you're going to have any of these bonuses that you have here. You'll just have, but you'll have the stats that you need for that champion, right? Now, like I said, eventually you're going to start to phase all of this crap out to where you're just collecting the sets that you want. And eventually, like I said, you'll start to not even use those anymore, and you'll start to phase in things that you're getting from Doom Tower, things you're getting from Curse City, and you're going to come over here and you're going to get, well, actually, like the resilience and perception, you'll also get from Faction Wars. So, you'll come in here and you'll start forging gear that it's going to be most of the times better than the stuff that you can get out of traditional dungeons. Like perception is one, like I said, it's a 2-piece set. Affinity breaker is good. If you got some kind of like boss like a certain level of a boss that you're trying to get through, and you're the wrong affinity, but you, for whatever your champ needs to do, they need to land a critical hit. This comes in handy for that. Let's see what else we got. We got Bloodthirst, which is just like Lifesteal, but it adds the 12% crit rate. We got Guardians, decent. Lethal is a really good one. It's just like Savage, but it also adds the crit rate. Uh, and then, I mean, we have the other sets with like the different events that come through. Bolster, Defiant. Some of those are good. Everybody thought that Slayer was going to be great. Don't really hear anything about that these days. But anyways, so like I said, you're when you're going through and farming for the gear, have a plan in mind, like what kind of champ is this that I'm trying to build, and what am I trying to go for, and find the dungeon that has that, and then spend your energy in there, and keep, especially in the beginning, keep the ones with the good stats on them, even if it doesn't match the sets that you're going for, until you start to get a whole lot of that set that does have the good stats on it. And now another thing that people will say is you got to build a lot of champs, right? And that's also not wrong, but you don't want to just build them all at the same time, right? You're going to want to focus on what you're doing at the time, and so like in the beginnings, like you're like, say you just started, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your whatever your best damage dealing starter champ is, and get them to 6-star as quick as you can, get the masteries and all that, and so that way you're at least able to farm, like solo farm, and then put other food champs in so that you can keep the whole thing going. And after that, along the way, you will be pulling shards and you will be acquiring other champs, right? And you may say, oh wait, but well, this one's really good. Okay, well, if you already have your starter champ to 6-star, you can already do the farming campaign, solo with that champ. Okay, move on to the next one. You're not going to want to have like this one here at like 60, and then over here have that at 35, and this one's at 40, and this one's at 50. It's like you're spreading yourself too thin, and you're going to have a whole roster of shit, like good champs with shit builds. And the only thing that's going to do for you is give you a lot of disappointment when you put them in a team and you're getting smoked by other people left and right. So just, I know it's going to suck, but just focus on one at a time. Just take one. Like you already got your damage dealer, right? So hopefully now you'll have some kind of reviver, healer, something like that to keep everybody alive, and you're going to want to focus on that. And then that's, like I said, when you're going to come back here, and you're going at you're still going to be the early stages, and you're going to want to try to find, okay, well, what kind of gear do I want on these people? Stalwart wouldn't be bad. The less damage you take, obviously, the better. But if you can, and this is what I like to do. I don't do it on all of them, but I do have quite a handful of my revivers, and people like that. A lot of support champs like in regen sets, because they're not going to do you any good if they're dead. So if they can at least keep themselves alive, then even if everybody else gets nuked to the ground, eventually they can come back around, hopefully, and revive everybody and get it all going again. But when you're building your champs, you're going to want to, like I said, you're going to pick them one at a time, and you're going to go in. You're going to build them up to 60. You're going to come in here. You're going to do all their masteries. And now that's another thing. Some people are going to want to spend all their gems. They're going to want to get the masteries, right? Well, the problem with that is you're going to burn through all of your gems really, really quick. Something that I'll do is I'll come in here every day. Now, this is something that I'm a lot later game now, but I'm saying something that you're want to aspire to do at some point is every day I'll do 5 runs of super raids with whoever it is I'm doing my masteries. It takes a lot longer than just buying them all for 800 gems, but it gets them done. Now, the thing is that you're going to want to spend them on, if you do spend gems on somebody in the beginning, that's fine, but you're not going to want to keep doing that. Now, the problem with all this is that the advice, all of this advice isn't wrong. The problem is that the advice is incomplete in the sense that it's not always right, because it's right when it fits what you need in your account at the time. So instead of like, just going around and just doing stuff because you've got resources to burn, you need to actually ask yourself, like, what is going to help me move my account forward today? Like, what problem do I need to solve that that I can move forward through? Like, every account is going to have walls, right? Like, you're gonna make progress, you're gonna be moving along, and then you're gonna hit a wall. And then until you find, get the right champ that has the right, uh, things that they can do, or the right gear, or whatever it may be, and then you're going to get past that wall, and then eventually you're going to be moving along, you're going to hit another wall, and it's just like the game is just a series of walls. You're going to run into it. So what wall are you at now? What wall are you at today? And what do you need to do to get past it? And if that's where you're burning your energy, then that's where you need to be. So is this energy I'm burning, is it helping me solve a specific goal, or is it helping me solve something that, like, I've already decided, that this is something I need to work on? Or are you just burning it just to burn it? Because a lot of the things in this game are going to feel like progress, because you're going to see things going, you're going to see things moving, and but they don't actually change anything. And that's where a lot of things get lost, like, your resources, or even just the time that you spend playing the game. And it's not because you're doing the wrong things, it's because you're doing the right things at the wrong time. So the next time that you're trying to decide what you want to do, and everything sounds right, just take a second and ask yourself, is this something that my account needs right now? And if it is, then you're probably moving in the right direction. Because that's the difference between just playing the game and progressing through it. So let us know in the comments if you fell into any of these early game pieces of advice, and what you did about it. And if you like what we do here at the channel, don't forget to subscribe, give it a big fat thumbs up, so that we can be seen by other friends like yourselves. And that said, I hope you have a great day / night, and I'll see you next time. Bye.